Hello, everybody. Welcome to Microsoft 365 Copilot Developer Camp, an event for developers by developers. And we're super excited that you're tuning in. Now, we are all collective witnesses to the way Gen AI is rapidly and fundamentally transforming and enhancing productivity for all of us. It's helping us achieve more than we have ever before been able to. With tools like Copilot, we are no longer just using software. We're collaborating with our software. Now, at Microsoft, we're fortunate that we get to experiment with AI in several diverse domains on a daily basis. It's probably not a stretch to say Copilot has fundamentally enhanced the way we think, we work, we collaborate with our colleagues, and we innovate. It's an AI partner for us that helps us write, design, analyze, automate tasks, and it's been a game changer. But the bigger game changer is when we really scratch into it and we say, can we take the next step and integrate our software directly into Copilot? How do we get our information systems directly collaborating with Copilot, making Copilot the powerful AI that can work seamlessly and directly with all of our systems together? Now, to discuss exactly that, I have with me here today VP of Microsoft 365 Copilot Extensibility and Platform, the one, the only, Rob Howard. Hi, Rob. Welcome to Copilot Developer Camp.
Hey, Barnam. Hey, everybody. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity, as you put it. It's an amazing, amazing time to be working in the industry, and this is an amazing time to be collaborating together on applying this technology in a way that can really transform the way that millions of people work.
Well, Rob, you seem really into Copilot like a lot of us. So, it's such a great opportunity to have you here with us today. I really wanted to ask you, can you give us some insight into how you and your team are viewing agents, Copilot agents, and extensibility for Microsoft Copilot? And how should developers really think about this paradigm of agents with Copilot?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe I'll start first, like many things at Microsoft, start with people. I'm sure people have heard our mission statement a bunch of times. It really does anchor on empowering people and organizations, and we're not sort of yet in this post-apocalyptic future where it's all agents. So it really does anchor on giving people the tools they need to be productive. And in this wave of generative AI, that looks like Copilot as this AI-powered personal assistant that's available to you throughout all of your work contexts, connected into all of the systems and data that you need to be productive. And it kind of serves as like this almost operating system for generative AI, this sort of device for generative AI. And if you think about that analogy, agents then add functionality, create these focused experiences in much the same way that an app adds functionality to a phone or an operating system. And it gives us this kind of focused unit of functionality that can bring the skills and knowledge that are required for specific business processes. So you can really kind of create that anchor, that sort of user experience that an individual can then apply to take the promise of this technology in generative AI and really deliver concrete business results. How do you make that quote to cash process go faster, close quicker, have lower cost? How do you transform the way that it works? It's by creating agents, connecting them into Copilot so that users can use them in the flow of work.
Wow. Obviously we get to play with these things a lot. So we have, the insight that, we love to share with developers all over. So thank you for sharing that. But I actually wanted to ask you, we've talked about agents as one thing, but actually there's different types of agents that people can go and build, especially, declarative agents and custom engine agents. How do you think about those, and what should developers really look for in choosing a pathway, or what are your thoughts on that, and how is the team thinking about that as we build these things?
Absolutely. To start with, I'll just clarify that from an end user perspective, we really do think there needs to be one type of agent. When somebody's using Copilot, when they're bringing an agent in for interaction, we don't think they need to worry about, like, was it built as a declarative agent or a custom engine agent? Hopefully that's just an implementation detail for developers. and that will provide consistent UX patterns and affordances for end users so they can get the same sort of experience out of both of those. But when it comes to developers, there's kind of two big paths to choose between. We've got a whole stack that we've built out to power the Microsoft 365 Copilot experience. And declarative agents let developers take kind of a configuration of that stack. What are the custom instructions, the descriptions, the knowledge, the capabilities from that stack you want to enable, the custom actions in other systems through REST APIs that you want to connect it to, and kind of create that configuration, and then load that configuration in so that it creates that focused experience for an end user around a specific business process, a specific user goal, a type of interaction, a domain of expertise, that kind of thing. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got a lot of customers and partners who are building out custom models, building out their own orchestration engines. They're not necessarily going to take advantage of a configuration of the Microsoft 365 Copilot stack. They're going to bring their own. And a lot of times that requires a whole lot more work. Building an orchestrator is a pretty big challenge. You may have to do a whole bunch of orchestration over lots of different user intents and be able to disambiguate those things in complicated ways. But if your scenarios require that, where you really do want to have kind of custom conversational workflows, or you want to incorporate a custom model in a deep way to implement that business process, you can go create a custom engine agent, which essentially integrates a kind of the messaging layer rather than taking the whole Copilot stack with it.
Awesome. Actually, we have to be frank and honest. We, even within our team, we've tried both declarative and custom engine agents, and we try and build samples for developers. And frankly, quite surprised and amazed at how much you can achieve with declarative agents as well. Like it's my own personal recommendation would be, try the declarative agents first. It's a much lower lift to begin with, and I think the amount of outcomes that are possible just to build on top of the bajillion the dollars worth of work that Microsoft has done to build the managed stack, the secure stack that we've already done. I think it's to me it's quite astounding what you can achieve, frankly, on top of that. And I'm really interested. As you have grown with Gen AI with us, what are there some aha moments? Are you using it creatively in your own work? Is your team doing this? I know we are, but I'm really interested in. And as you build the product, what are some of the ways that you're seeing innovation happen internally?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like almost anything else at Microsoft, when we want to work with customers and partners on doing something, a lot of times we start by building this out ourselves, using it in our own business processes, using our own day-to-day work. Often refer to that as dog food. And in our own when we're eating our own dog food there, there's been a bunch of really kind of amazing aha moments, especially about the sort of spectrum of scenarios that you can address with this. We have an amazing amount of capability just in that core capability of describing instructions. You got to think of like, hey, there's this magical prompt that is a thing that I've refined over many use cases, and I've really got it dialed in. And now I want to kind of encapsulate that as a reusable thing on its own, just with instruction. I mean, it's just natural language, the way you and I would talk with one another about what I would like Barnam to do for me. And I can encode that in an agent, and I have now this tool that I can basically use just English in order to program. And it's amazing the sorts of things that you can create just with that. One of my favorite use cases for generative AI is brainstorming. It's an awesome tool to generate ideas with, go back and forth with. And I really like a specific style of brainstorming, which is, generate a whole bunch of broad ideas and get some input on which directions are interesting, and then zoom in on those and kind of fan out again. And that pattern you can just sort of describe in English to a custom agent, and you can then encapsulate that. And now I've got a brainstorming buddy that I use on a daily basis, for everything from brainstorming solutions to really difficult problems at work to ideas for a team morale event to I hope my wife is not watching. I did use this to brainstorm gifts for her recent birthday. They went really well, so exciting there. But that's at the very simple, just use instructions, and you start to add in even just some basic things on top of that. For example, we support connectors to bring data from external systems into the same semantic index where a whole bunch of Microsoft 365 data is stored. So we've got connectors to, for example, like Azure DevOps. And we've built out agents that say, hey, here's a couple of documents that we use in order to report status. Here's a couple of repositories within Azure DevOps that have issues and work items. And here's a set of prompts and instructions for how to generate the newsletter that we send out every month from those data sources. And being able to then just use that agent to sort of go and access all of those data sources, draft out a response, be able to iterate using the language of generative AI, really powerful accelerator. And then, of course, you've got kind of full-on solutions end-to-end at Microsoft. We've got, for example, a help desk agent that's available to employees from across Microsoft that, yes, does have a whole bunch of knowledge bases to try and help me with my tech support issues when I run into them, but also is connected into systems like Intune via APIs so that you can do things like check on your device compliance status, and that can inform the guidance that you get back when you're trying to troubleshoot an issue for connecting to VPN, for example. So those kind of scenarios are a huge spectrum, all the way from something that I just do by writing it in text in natural language and then saving it and reusing it or sharing it with a work group, all the way to things that are built out through ProDev, integrating with existing or new APIs to create really advanced custom workflows.
The two most surprising things that you just told me was I'm no longer your brainstorming buddy, and you actually have an agent.
I'll still brainstorm with you. We can brainstorm together with my brainstorming buddy. How about that?
Wow. Okay. And the other thing that you also experience tech support issues. We're engineers in Microsoft. We are tech support for, well, at least for my family. So, but on that, I totally agree. What we're seeing from our customers, from partners, from developers all over who are trying this, the consistent feedback that we get is, we're only really tip of the iceberg with what's possible with agents. It's very encouraging to see how much more, how much better we become with AI capability being added to our set of tools. Now, how do you see the space evolving for not just for us, but also for developers out there? I know we've already discussed, and talked about things like autonomous agents and the whole agentic universe becoming a lot bigger. So how do you see this space evolving? How are you thinking about it? How are you brainstorming with your new buddy about it and kind of leaving me out of the conversation? So really interested in that.
Yeah.
Also envious.
I've hurt your feelings on the brainstorming buddy thing. We got to get a joint chat set up with the brainstorming buddy. But I am incredibly excited about this space, and I think maybe to touch on another thing that you were just saying there, like any platform, really, we're given a set of building blocks, and the most exciting thing is to see all of the creativity and ingenuity that people bring to it. And it's incredible to see a bunch of these solutions spring up, the types of things that folks are able to accomplish by combining just these sets of building blocks. And now that we have this sort of platform in place, if you think about all the work that we've done over the last year to really refine and rationalize that Copilot stack, it's amazing how quickly this is progressing. And that is, now rolling out to customers in GA. And even over the next few weeks, there'll be a bunch more building blocks that we add in, new capabilities, things like code interpreter coming to declarative agents, and image generation as a capability coming to declarative agents. And all of those things, I think, in the right hands have this kind of multiplying effect. Code interpreters, a pretty incredible skill if you've ever used one like this, where it's essentially like, hey, I can express my intent with natural language, but it can be executed with imperative code. So it's actually, deterministic results, and you get these pretty magical possibilities from everything from data analysis all the way through custom UX. And so lots and lots of possibilities just in the more incremental building blocks that we are adding now and will continue to add over the next few weeks. But I think in a lot of ways, this is just the beginning. We're sort of adding this very first phase. It's like we've just added the ability to add apps into Copilot. and the types of apps that people build in the fullness of time will grow dramatically. A lot of that around this term that I think there's still a good debate on whether it's actually a word or not, agentic. But I think a lot of people have like expectations for what agentic means, and some of those things you'll see in the building blocks we've got today. The ability to go into a conversation in BizChat and have a turn with it to like generate. Here's a design. Let me generate this design brief from a document. Get back a result, and then in the next turn of the conversation, mention an agent who can actually take that design brief and then generate those media assets. I'm kind of doing lightweight orchestration across those agents. I can turn around and then mention another agent to have those media assets go update somewhere. So that kind of orchestration is really, really interesting precursor to a bunch of what we think is coming with these agentic behaviors as we add them on. Things like more proactive, triggered, and scheduled interactions. Right now, agents are very reactive. A lot of times, they sort of only act when I send it a prompt and it gives me a response. Well, lots of magical things can happen when an agent can respond to, hey, this thing changed in the middle of the night when you weren't even watching, and I am waking up and reacting at that point. Or just on a regular schedule, that newsletter that we send every week about what's going on in this ADO repository. Hey, do that every Monday morning. Have a draft ready for me when I show up with my coffee, that kind of thing. Within those workflows, being able to have kind of longer running, more complex and compound workflows, so that I can sort of string together lots of different actions. And it's not that I ask an agent to do something and it has to come back in 20 seconds, but it can go off and say, okay, I got it. I'm gonna work on that. It'll take me some time. It can continue to sort of update me as it makes progress. And then it can gather my attention and say, hey, I'm done. You need to check this work. And that kind of long running asynchronous task works really well. And then if you sort of add all those pieces together, that sort of proactive outreach, the asynchronous interactions, the orchestration that you can do across different agents today manually, but with the advancements that we're seeing in models to be able to do more structured reasoning, the ability over time to actually use the model itself to kind of orchestrate across those agents and create these multi-agent systems. Really, really exciting stuff. And it all kind of builds incrementally on this foundation that we're starting from now, which makes me even more excited for what we'll see in this immediate future, and then how that will really define the future of the way that people get work done and the way that business works based on this platform.
Awesome. It is what you just talked about, the asynchronous workflows enabling that. This happened while you were not here on Teams or whatever, right? This is so true for us. This is like, our team is spread all over the world. Microsoft spread all over the world. Our customers are all over the world. We're 24/7, and I think, if just from the advent of Copilot into our lives, I can personally attest that it's made me a lot more aware of a lot of things that I probably would just be, it would go into the chasm of my always inflated inbox and or notification bar. So it's I think it's definitely helped me and helped our team, and it's good to here again, that we're expanding the tool set for everybody. We're adding AI capability to everybody's tool belt more and more. And as the groundswell of work that a Microsoft does in the background for the orchestration layer, for example, I think something that the security and orchestration layer to me is honestly the biggest reason to go declarative first, honestly, for me, and just that level of heavy lifting that Microsoft has done enables, honestly, any scenario in a secure, manageable, well orchestrated way to be possible with AI.
Yeah, it's a really important point, and I think the fact that these tools are sort of natively integrated both with the tools that you're using, they're inside of Outlook, they're inside of Word, they're inside of PowerPoint. And so they understand the context of your work. And they're also connected to that graph of data that underpins all those applications. That means that whole stack is even more powerful, because, rather than having to sift through all of my data and copy everything out into a place where, I don't have the right security and information protection and compliance promises, into some other system and then use AI there to process it. I can do it in situ. I can have AI be a part of deciding which are the relevant pieces of information from this broad body of content. It can do it right when I'm sitting inside of this tool. I'm not doing a whole bunch of copy and pasting and alt tabbing. It understands the context of what I'm working on natively. So really, really powerful scenarios when you kind of combine all of those things together, take the possibilities of this technology, really focus it on real business problems, not just sort of like toy technology demos, but say, how can we make this concrete process that people do every day that drives our business forward better? Really just incredible possibilities for the industry.
Yeah, truly. Thank you so very much, Rob, for that insight. Even though we're no longer brainstorming buddies, I hope we can restart that relationship soon. But we've got a very exciting show today. Thanks for joining us, and for everybody tuning in, devs all over the world. We've got a very exciting show today. So without further ado, and I actually want to hand over to the next segment where Robbie and Bob will talk a little bit deeper and get into declarative agents and how you can build them. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Happy building.